Welcome back to the Ortotech Garage. My name is Keith. Today I want to talk to you about tires. We're going to break down everything about tires today that you possibly need to know when you're going to buy a set of tires. I want to take all the confusion and mystery out of all the crazy numbers that you're seeing. I want to take the mystery and confusion out of what type of tire you should be rolling on. All of these things we're going to talk about today. I've got some stuff set up in the garage that I really want to show you. Let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Here we are in the garage. I've got this little stack of tires here I want to go through. First, I want to start off with probably the most misunderstood information that you're going to see on a tire. It's the tire size. 205, 70, 16. What exactly does that mean? Let's talk about it right now. So there's three numbers on there. The first number, let's look at this tire, see where we're at. This is a 225 55 R18. 225 is simply the width of the tire. So if I turn this tire, I'm going to show you here. The width of the tire is basically going to be from here to here. This is going to be the width of the tread itself, sidewall to sidewall, 225 millimeters or 22.5 centimeters, measured metric. The next number after the slash is going to be the 55. The 55 is what they call the aspect ratio. All that means is it's 55% of the width is going to be the height of the sidewall. So we're going to go from here up to the top of the tire, 55% of this width that I just showed you. So if we went about half of this, maybe a little bit more than half, that's 55%. That's going to be the same as the height of this sidewall. That's all that means. Very simple. The next letter on there is going to be the R. All the R means is it's a radial tire. Now guys, there's other stuff out there. There's bias ply tires and things. You're not going to see them on your average everyday car. Just about every tire we see nowadays is going to be a radial tire. So you're always going to see an R in that tire size. It's almost irrelevant at this point, unless you have a trailer or you're a giant truck or something out of the ordinary. For the rest of us that are driving normal passenger cars and light trucks, pretty much all going to be a radial tire. The next size you're going to see on there is going to be the 18. So 225/55 R18. The 18 simply means it's an 18-inch diameter, inner diameter, or 18-inch diameter rim that this tire is going to mount on. So when we're looking at that, that just means that this area in here that's going to seat the bead on the rim is 18 inches from here to here. We're talking about the complete diameter of the internal part of the tire here. So those numbers are fairly simple. 225 millimeters width on the tread. 55% of the 225 millimeters is the height of the sidewall. 18 inches is going to be the size of the rim that this is going to mount on. Now you cannot put an 18-inch tire on a 17-inch rim. You cannot put an 18-inch tire on a 19-inch rim. They must match identically. This is not really up for discussion. Every tire you mount, the diameter of the tire must match the diameter of the rim. Okay, we're not talking about this diameter, the overall diameter. We're talking about the inside where it has to mount on the rim. These are tubeless tires. There's no tube inside there. The tire is the seal. So when we put air in these tires and we inflate them, this is the bead on the tire. This bead is going to be forced through air pressure up against the inside lip of the rim. That's how we seal the tire up. So if we don't have the correct size diameter tire, there's no way we can seat the bead. There's no way we can keep air in the tire. The tire is not going to stay inflated on the car. It's just that simple. The rest of these numbers here, the 225 and the 55, those can be manipulated just a little bit. So you may find that you want to go from a 225, you like a little bit wider tire, let's go to a 235. You can do that. It'll fit on the rim. Okay, you got 10 millimeters wider. And then just remember your aspect ratio is also going to be a little bit taller. So if I take this is a 225, let's say, 225 millimeters, and I step this up to a wider tire, 235 millimeters, well, that just means that my aspect ratio at 55%, if we don't change that, just got a little bit taller. What does that mean to you? Well, it means you've got to make sure it fits inside the wheel well, right? We have to have room for the tire to move up and down with the suspension. So you don't want to go too much bigger than what you have unless you've made some modifications to your suspension. Maybe there's something you've done to your car, you gave it a lift, and now you can put a little bit bigger tire, larger diameter overall, not rim diameter, but larger overall diameter. Great. You can do that if you have the room for it. If you've got a lowered car, that's a bad idea. You go for a wider tire, you must go for a lower aspect ratio. So let's say you went from a 225 to a 245. Okay, you added 20 millimeters in width to the tread of your tire. We're talking about width again, make sure you understand. Let's say we go from this 225 and we want to go a little bit wider. Now we've got a wider tire, 245 millimeters. If we don't drop that aspect ratio, your overall diameter is going to be so much bigger, it's probably not going to fit comfortably in the wheel well. You'll be rubbing over speed bumps and all kinds of things. So just want to make sure that if you do that, maybe you drop to a 45 aspect ratio, okay, 45% of the overall width now that you went wider. That should keep your overall tire diameter similar to what you had overall from top to bottom. I hope that makes sense to you. So you can manipulate those numbers, not always advised depending what you're going to do. There's another consideration. If you're going to manipulate the size of your tire, you want to make sure that your speedometer gets recalibrated. Okay, so you're going to affect a couple of other things on the car once you start to deviate from what the manufacturer has designed works well on that car. So you'll see inside the door decal, I'm going to put an image here so you can take a look. Inside that door decal, it's going to tell you the manufacturer's recommended size for this vehicle. This is in perfectly stock condition. This is what they're saying the vehicle has been engineered for, the suspension has been calibrated for a particular size tire. That's always the tire that's going to work best on that car. As soon as you start to modify that, bigger or smaller, you're changing a lot of things. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to mention to you, when you make some changes in there, is not only the diameter tire, not only is it going to affect your speedometer, that'll need to be recalibrated if possible, but it's also going to affect the gearing in the car. Okay, so wider tires overall are spinning at a different rate than smaller tires. That's why your speedometer doesn't work properly. In addition to that, though, it's harder to get a different tire size moving than it is maybe a smaller tire, right? So when you change overall tire diameter, you're also affecting the gearing of the car, the final drive gearing. So the transmission has multiple gears in it. You may have gearing in the rear end, the rear differential, or the differential unit on a front transaxle. Regardless, the final drive is what we're talking about. The overall gear ratio from front to back, all the way back to your tires, is going to change. It's going to change the way your car accelerates. It's going to change your fuel economy. It's going to change a little bit of your performance. And of course, it's going to change the way the car looks. So keep that in mind. The next thing you need to know is going to be the load rating and the speed rating of the tire. It's going to be the next set of digits in our series. So on this tire, we've got a 225, 55, R18. We talked about what those are. Next is going to be 98H. The 98 is going to be referring to the load rating of this particular tire. I'm going to put a chart up here, and I want to show you what the chart looks like for all the different numbers that you might see in a load rating. I think 98 is going to be roughly 1,600 pounds or so of weight this tire is rated at. If you look at the chart there, you'll see lots of ratings on there, and the difference in weight rating per jump and number. Okay, the next digit on here is the H. The H is the speed rating. That just tells you what the maximum speed you can safely ride on this tire is. This one, H rating, I believe, is about 130 miles an hour. These tires the ratings go very low for non-passenger vehicles, and they go all the way up to a Z rating, which is usually the highest rated tire. Let's drop that chart up here. You can get a quick look at that. This way you understand what we're talking about. After the load and speed rating, there's another set of markings on here. It says M plus S. The letter M standing for mud, the letter S standing for snow. This generally indicates this is an all-season performing tire. That means you can drive it from winter to summer and back again without having to change tires as the season changes. Anytime you see an M and S on there, generally means an all season. It could possibly be a winter tire, but generally winter tires are going to be labeled with some mountain peaks and some snowflakes on them. If you see that, it's definitely a winter tire. This is most like an all season tire, not a summer tire. The next thing we're going to see on this tire is the DOT number, DOT, Department of Transportation. This is also known as the tire identification number. There's a bunch of information that the manufacturer has been embedded in this number for their purposes, maybe the manufacturing plant where it was built, but most importantly to you, the consumer, is the last 4 digits. The last 4 digits are going to indicate the week and the year that this tire was manufactured. Why would that be important to you? Let's say you go to your local tire shop and you buy some tires, and you bought an oddball tire. Maybe you have a size that's not common, so maybe it sat on the shelf for a long time, and you're buying a tire that could be a year and a half old, but you're paying for it in today's dollar. So maybe you want to know that. You might want to look at this information on here so you can determine when that tire was manufactured, how long has it been sitting on the shelf. Tires do dry rot. They do get harder over time, especially if they're out in the heat and things like that. So it's important to know when this tire was manufactured, how long has it been sitting on the shelf. Maybe you got one that was made last month. Great. that's perfect for you. Maybe you got one 6 months ago, no big deal. You might even got one 2 years ago, still not necessarily a big deal, but you should know about it. So the first 2 digits out of the last 4 digits of this DOT number, or tire identification number, the first 2 digits are going to indicate the week it was manufactured, and the second 2 digits are going to indicate the year. This particular tire is showing me it's 13/21, 13th week of the year 2021. It's really that simple. Check it out for yourself. Okay, this is going to bring me to our last set of numbers here that I wanted to talk about on the sidewall of the tire. This is going to be the tire pressure. This is one of the most confusing things I think that people can ever look at. You're going to look in the door decal of the car. Probably going to show you one right here so you can get an idea what that looks like. It's not going to look anything like the number that you see on the side of the tire. So for example, this tire says 51 PSI maximum pressure. Okay, that just means do not exceed 51 pounds of pressure. That doesn't mean inflate the tire to 51 pounds of pressure. You might look in the manufacturer's decal on the door and it might tell you it takes 29 PSI. So inflate the tire to 29 PSI or something possibly in between depending on the time of year, depending on the use of the car. It doesn't mean inflate this tire to 51 PSI. Just use it as a guide. Don't exceed the maximum pressure rated of the tire, and do inflate the tires to the manufacturer's recommended specification or slightly above. And generally I would recommend it just a little bit above because the temperatures change, which means the pressure in the tire changes from season to season. And you might have, with modern cars, you might get a tire pressure warning light if you're setting it at the very lowest limit of some of these tire pressure sensors. So a lot of these sensors will start to turn the light on at 28 pounds. I've seen manufacturer tell you that the tire or the recommended tire pressure for the car is 29 pounds. We don't want to have 1 PSI fluctuation to get that nasty yellow light coming on telling you you've got low tire pressure. So I usually like to set the tire somewhere between 32 and 35 PSI as a general guide. I know you're getting tired, but I've still got some more information for you. Let's get right into it. This part's going to be just as important as the rest of the information that I've given you. Not specifically information stamped on the tire, but information you're going to be receiving from your tire service providers, whether it's the local auto garage or national chain of tire repair centers. They're going to be measuring your tires and talking to you in crazy fractions that you may not understand. So they're going to say, hey, Mrs. Jones, your tire looks like it's at 3/32 of an inch left, and we're going to have to replace them. And you might say, what the heck does that mean, 3/32? That's what we're going to show you right here. I want to measure some tread depths for you. I want to explain what these tread numbers mean. A brand new tire will generally be somewhere in the 10 to 12, 30 seconds range. That's the thickness of the tread depth. So basically that means a 12, 30-second tire will look like a brand new tire, and a 1/32 tire will have 0 tread left on it, basically. We're going to measure this tire. I want to show you what this one looks like. It's not in very good condition. I'm going to measure this tire, which happens to be a brand new spare that was taken off a vehicle, and show you what the tread depth looks like on that one. And I want to show you exactly what these numbers might mean to you and put them in perspective so that when somebody tells you how many 30 seconds are left on your tire, you have a better indication of what they're talking about. This tire, as you can see here, is in pretty rough condition. We've got basically no tread on here. We have actually less than no tread. We got some of the cord construction of the radial tire is starting to poke through here. There's absolutely no tread left. It's worn this edge out completely, and it's starting to feather its way out towards probably the best looking side of the tire would be over here. I want to show you what this little tool can do. We're going to measure tread depth. It's a tread depth gauge, and we're just going to show you in a couple of spots up close what these measurements look like. If I'm measuring over here where there is no tread, I've got a measurement of 0.30 seconds. That should be about right because there's no tread on it. If I go over here to the first groove and I take a measurement, I'm reading 1/32. Minimum specification on a tire is generally 2 seconds. Anything less than that, the tire should be discarded and not driven on. Okay, we'll probably start recommending tires somewhere around 4/32. That means you're getting pretty low on your tread wear. If I go all the way over to the best side of the tire and I take a measurement, I've got 3/32 of an inch. So over here, it looks like we've got maybe a tiny bit of usable life left if you really like to press your luck. Over here, this tire needs to be discarded. Over here, this tire is just plain dangerous. You've got all these scenarios across this tire. If I take this tire over here, this tire is brand new. It was a spare tire off a Toyota Tacoma, and the customer put bigger tires on. I want to show you what a brand new tire looks like as far as tread depth. This one's measuring at 10/30 seconds. So that's basically the lower end of a brand new tire should be about 10/30 seconds, all the way down to discard measurement 2/30 seconds. My apologies, guys. I clearly missed something on the tire here. I don't use a script. It's going to happen once in a while. I wanted to talk to you about the treadwear number, temperature number, traction numbers. This tire has got up here a treadwear number of 800. These numbers can range generally from 200 to a little over 800, I believe. And it's just an indication, and this can vary from manufacturer to manufacturer, from tire to tire, but an indication of how long this tire is designed to last. The closer you are to 800, 850 means you're going to get more miles out of this tire. Lower number might be equivalent to one of those Z-rated tires we talked about, made for to put on your Corvette or Lamborghini. Might be rated at 200 on the treadwear indicator, which means it's going to probably wear out very quickly, but the trade-off is it's going to give you maximum grip. A tire like this, rated at 800, which I believe is very high, might last 60, 70,000 miles, but it's going to be very hard. It's not going to give you great wet traction. It's not going to give you great dry traction necessarily. Some of these tires with higher treadwear numbers, in my experience, just lead to noisy tires over time. So you kind of want to find a balance. I like, when I'm purchasing tires, I want to go for something maybe in the 400 to 600 range. Maybe I expect to get 40,000 miles on a set of tires like that. If you're looking into tires, I would suggest maybe you do something the same. Now, again, this is not anything that is a universal hard and fast rule, but check with reviews and ratings when you're buying tires, because other people are going to have some complaints about them, and that's probably going to help you inform what you want to purchase for your car. I hope that makes sense. The next thing on here is the traction, this is rated at an A traction. This is the highest traction rating that you can get on a tire. The traction rating is basically just going to tell you its level of grip. Okay, so this tire should have very good grip. Also, the temperature rating A, this tire is rated for the highest temperature ratings. Basically, rolling resistance is going to increase the temperature of the tire, and this tire is capable of handling pretty much everything you can throw at it. Performance driving, hard turns, hard acceleration, hard braking, they all generate heat in the tire. That number, or I should say that digit, letter A, should give you the best performance. So again, we got 800, A, and A. Pretty good. Long lasting, decent grip, and well capable of handling all the temperatures on it. All right, there you have it, guys. I've tried to give you all the information you need to be fully equipped to go out and purchase some tires, feel confident when you're talking to your auto mechanic so that you know what he's telling you, you understand what he's telling you, and you can make some informed decisions. I intentionally didn't go over anything about tire maintenance, tire installation, tire wear patterns, what causes them. We're going to save that for another video. If you think you really want to see it, you can let me know down in the comments. Maybe we'll get to it sooner than later. We've got a lot of ideas that we want to bring to you, but I really appreciate you joining me for this video. I hope you've learned a lot. I hope you've got some practical information you can apply in your life every day. That's what we're here for. We want to get you educated. We want to make sure you know what you're talking about when it comes to the automotive industry. We're going to keep making more videos like this. As a matter of fact, I've got one right here, how to jumpstart your vehicle properly. Don't miss it. We'll see you next time in the Ortotech Garage. Thanks for watching.